Never walk into another building inspection thinking the inspector's out to get you. Because here's what most HVAC contractors get dead wrong about code compliance. You know what separates the pros who breeze through inspections from those who get red tagged every other job? It's not perfect work, it's relationships. And after 20 plus years in the industry, from carrying tools to training contractors across New England, I've learned that your relationship with local inspectors can make or break your business faster than a bad Yelp review. Today, we're diving deep into building solid relationships with code officials. I'm going to share the exact strategies that have transformed many inspection experiences from adversarial battles to collaborative partnership. You'll discover why most contractors approach this completely backwards. The simple conversation starter that opens doors with any inspector, and the one mistake that's costing you time and money on every single job. All right, let me paint you a picture. It's Tuesday morning, 7:30. You're standing outside a house with your crew. The equipment's ready, but there's one problem. The inspector just walked your job and handed you a list of corrections longer than your grocery receipt. Sound familiar? Here's the thing most contractors don't realize. Inspectors aren't your enemy. They're doing a job just like you. But somehow our industry has created this us versus them mentality that makes every inspection feel like a courtroom drama. I learned this lesson the hard way back in my early days. Picture this, young contractor, cocky as they come, thinking I knew everything about HVAC because I could install a furnace blindfolded. I walk into this inspection with an attitude, basically challenging the inspector before he even looked at my work. That red tag taught me more about business than any textbook ever could. The inspector pulls me aside afterwards and says something I'll never forget. Son, I'm here to make sure this system keeps people safe. Work with me, not against me. That changed everything, because here's what I realized. Inspectors have seen it all. The good, the bad, and the downright dangerous. They know which contractors cut corners, and they know which ones take pride in their work. Guess which ones get the benefit of the doubt when there's a gray area in the code? Let's talk about numbers for a second. The average HVAC contractor deals with inspections on 60 to 80% of their jobs. That's a lot of opportunities to either build relationships or burn bridges. According to ACA data, contractors who maintain positive inspector relationships report 35% fewer correction notices and a 25% faster approval time. Think about that. Faster approvals mean faster payments. Fewer corrections mean less time running back to jobs. It's not just about being nice, it's about protecting your bottom line. So how do you actually build these relationships? It starts before you ever pull a permit. So here's my first strategy. Become a familiar face at the permit office. I'm not talking about camping out there, but make it a point to submit permits in person when possible. Chat with the office staff, learn their names, maybe even bring a coffee occasionally. These folks process maybe hundreds of permits every week, depending on how big the city is. But they'll remember the contractor who treats them like human beings instead of obstacles. Here's a conversation starter that works every time. Hey, I'm working on a project in the Maple Street area. Any specific things that you've seen contractors miss lately that I should watch out for? You're not asking them to do your job. You're showing respect for their expertise and demonstrating that you care about getting it right the first time. Trust me. Inspectors appreciate contractors who ask questions, instead of assuming that they know everything. All right, second strategy, document everything, but do it smart. Take photos of your work before you close walls or connect ducts. Not because you don't trust the inspector, but because it shows professionalism. I've had inspectors tell me they're more lenient with contractors who clearly document their work because it demonstrates attention to detail. But here's where most contractors mess this up. Take photos like you're proud of your craftsmanship, because you should be. All right, third strategy, timing matters more than you think. Don't try and schedule inspections for first thing Monday morning or late Friday afternoon. Inspectors are human. Monday mornings, they're dealing with weekend emergencies and catching up on paperwork. Friday afternoons, they're thinking about getting home to their families. Mid-morning, Tuesday through Thursday, that's the sweet spot. The inspectors had their coffee, caught up on their emails, and they're in the groove. All right, now let's address the elephant in the room. What happens when you disagree with an inspector's interpretation of the code? This is where relationships really matter. If you've built rapport, you can have an actual conversation. Here's how I handled it. Help me understand your interpretation of this section. I've been reading it as allowing this installation method, but I want to make sure I'm not missing something. Notice what I'm doing? I'm not telling them that they're wrong. I'm not quoting the code chapter and verse like I'm cross-examining a witness. I'm asking for clarification and showing respect for their authority. Sometimes they'll reconsider. Sometimes they'll explain something I missed. And sometimes they'll say, you know what? You're right. I was thinking of a different application, but that last one only happens if you've built trust. Here's a real world example. Let's just say I was working on a boiler replacement. The inspector questions my combustion air calculations. Old me would have gotten defensive, started pulling out old code books, making a scene. Instead, I say, let me walk you through my calculation. If I made an error, I want to catch it. We spend 5 minutes going through the math together. Turns out, my calc was right, but I hadn't documented it clearly on my permit application. The inspector passes the job and gives me feedback on how to present calcs more clearly in the future. See, that's a win-win. I get my approval, he got assurance that the installation was safe, and we both learned something. I know what you're thinking. What are those inspectors who seem impossible to work with? Yeah, they exist. I've met a few who act like they're personally offended by every HVAC installation they see. Here's my approach with difficult inspectors. Kill them with competence. Show up with perfect documentation. Follow every code requirement to the letter. Be so thoroughly prepared that they can't find anything wrong with your work, even if they want to. I remember this one inspector who had a reputation for being a nightmare. Guys would literally try to avoid jobs in his jurisdiction. They wouldn't work in that town. Working with a contractor, we decided to take a different approach. First job in his area, I helped submit the most detailed permit application I'd ever prepared. Installation drawings, equipment specs, load calcs, duct design, equipment selection, everything. The day of the inspection, I met them at the job site with a folder containing photos of every connection, every support, every code required component. I don't say much. I just let the work speak for itself. He spends 20 minutes going through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Finally, he looks up and says, this is how every installation should look. Signed off without a single correction. Even better, from that day forward, they never had issues with that inspector. Not because he suddenly became easier to work with, but because they earned his respect through quality work and professional presentation. Now, let's talk about staying current with code changes. This is where your relationship with inspectors becomes invaluable. They're often the first to know about upcoming changes, newer interpretations, or problem trends they're seeing with other contractors. Make it a habit to ask during inspections, hey, are there any new code updates I should be aware of? Or are you seeing any common mistakes lately I should watch out for? Most inspectors are happy to share this information with contractors who show genuine interest in compliance. Think about it from their perspective. They'd rather prevent problems than write correction notices, I have to believe. In the past, I've learned about code updates months before they were widely published just by maintaining good relationships with local inspectors. This advanced knowledge has saved me and local contractors countless headaches and given them a competitive advantage when bidding jobs. Here's another relationship building strategy that works incredibly well. Invite inspectors to your shop or showroom, not for sales pitches, but for education. Maybe you've got new equipment or installation techniques they haven't seen. Offer to give them a quick overview. I remember doing this with a new variable refrigerant flow system we started selling. I invited the chief mechanical inspector to spend an hour at our shop learning about the technology. He was fascinated by the controls and commissioning process. When we started installing these systems, he already understood the technology and trusted our competence with it. That 1 hour investment led to smoother approvals on dozens of installations over the following years. All right, let's address a question I get all the time. What about gifts or perks? Here's my rule. Keep it simple and professional. A box of donuts for the permit office staff around the holidays? Fine. Tickets to the game or expensive dinners? That's crossing a line that can compromise both of you. The best gift you can give an inspector is professional, code-compliant work that doesn't waste their time. Trust me, they notice contractors who consistently get it right. Speaking of getting it right, let's talk about the importance of knowing your local code amendments. You see, national codes are just the starting point. Every jurisdiction has local amendments, and inspectors expect you to know them. This is where doing your homework pays off. Get copies of local amendments. Better yet, ask inspectors about the reasoning behind specific local requirements. Often there's a story, maybe a problem installation that led to the amendment. Understanding the why behind requirements help you explain them to customers and avoid similar issues. All right, here's something that most contractors never consider. Inspectors do talk to each other. If you build a reputation of quality work and professionalism with one inspector, word will spread. The HVAC community in most areas isn't that big, and your reputation follows you. I've had inspectors in neighboring jurisdictions comment on my design work I've done in completely different cities because they'd heard good things from their colleagues. That's the power of relationship building. All right, now what about when things go wrong? Because they will. Equipment fails, installations don't go as planned, or you simply just make a mistake. How you handle these situations can either strengthen or destroy your inspector relationships. Own your mistakes quickly and completely. Don't make excuses, don't blame other people, and don't try to hide the problems. Call the inspector, explain what happened, and present your correction plan. These relationships you build with inspectors today determines your success tomorrow. Every positive interaction is an investment in smoother future inspections. Every time you show respect for their expertise, you're building credit you can draw on when you need flexibility or benefit of the doubt. Remember, inspectors want to see good work. They take pride in approving installations that meet or exceed code requirements. Make their job easier by consistently delivering quality work, and they'll make your job easier by working with you instead of against you. So remember, your next inspection is an opportunity to strengthen a professional relationship that could benefit your business for years to come. Approach it with that mindset and watch how your entire inspection experience transforms. Thanks for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.